welcome to our webinar. This is Kelsey, I'm Whitney, and we have Angela and James Reno from Alarm.com as our guests. We're so excited to be talking about access control today. I don't know a lot about access control.
No, I don't either. So
we'll be learning.
We are. We're so excited. We've got questions. You guys all have questions as well. If you do have questions during the webinar, on your control panel, there's a section there that says questions. Be sure to write your questions in. And before we get started, let us know that you can hear us. Let us know where you're calling in from, how's the weather.
It's nice here.
It's so nice. I know.
James, Angela, I don't even know where you guys are. Where are you guys at? Can you hear us?
I'm in Minnesota. Yeah, I'm in Minnesota, and it's actually nice for once. I think it's 75 degrees, so quite lovely.
That's nicer than here. It's only like 70 here. James, what about you?
I'm in Alabama today.
Alabama
and
today?
It's nice as well. Yes.
Where do you hail from?
I'm actually from Southern California, but doing a little business travel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
We're in Utah.
Yes.
So I don't know. How do you feel about our weather?
It's great. We're on the golf course. We see lots of people golfing. We're working hard.
We have a lot of people on. We've got James is on from New Braunfels, Dawn from Ohio, Manuel El Paso. Oh, one more thing. We have Jeremy McLaren, our director of marketing, is handling all of your questions and your chats. So that voice that you hear is him.
I'm sure it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And we're recording this webinar before I forget.
Yes.
So we'll send it out tomorrow in a follow-up, and we'll be posting it to YouTube and social media as well.
Yes.
So be looking out for it.
We have a couple questions for you while we get started. We want to know, and we're going to do a poll, are you currently installing Qolsys products? And so hop on there, hit yes or not yet. We just kind of want to know how to address the webinar, how in depth to go. It looks like, okay, okay, thank you. We've got, oh my gosh, let's see.
Steve's on from Indiana. We've got James on from Georgia.
Perfect. It looks like we're sitting at around 80% of you are installing Qolsys products, so that's perfect.
That's awesome.
Awesome. And then we have one more question as we kind of wait for people to get on. We want to know if you're currently using Qolsys products for small business and commercial installs. Jeremy, who else is on? We can't see.
I know, so
Do
some shout-outs.
Yeah, we got Eric from Rochester, New York. JT Harvey from Frisco, Texas. He says he can hear you, though the weather stinks and it's pouring down rain.
Oh, no.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, it doesn't.
Ryan's enjoying a comfortable 70 to 80 degrees in Fort Worth today.
How nice. There's lots of people from Texas on here. How fun.
Manuel is enjoying 78 degrees. Aaron Luna is from Protect Securities in Mercedes, Texas. It's always summer.
I'm going to move there.
Yeah, no kidding.
I need some summer all year
James,
long.
next time from Brazelton, Georgia. He's on today. And Steve Martin from Indiana is on.
Cool.
So we got
perfect.
So we've got a lot of people on. There's only a few people chatting in with the question, chatting and letting us know where they're at, but that's fine.
Don't forget to hop in that chat. It looks like we've got about half of you are doing both Qolsys for small business and commercial, and 20% are only small business. So we've got a good variety of people. So don't forget to log into that questions part. It'll be how we can interact and how we can talk and address your concerns directly.
And please ask questions. The more questions that are asked, the more that I think you'll learn and the better the webinars seem to go.
Yes.
So
perfect. So Angela, James, we want to talk about access control in the IQ panel. So if you'll go to the next slide, we kind of want to introduce it with the IQ panel first. We recently, the software update, did our UL 1610 certification. So that has been huge. We're so excited about that. And with that, you can do up to 4 partitions on the IQ panel. And remember, this is just a software update. It's the same panel so that you would use for a residential solution, just apply it differently in a residential.
It's so easy. And I will be doing videos to show just how easy it is.
Yes.
It's really just enabling things.
And we've got every IQ Panel 2 Plus comes with Power G, and Power G has 4 times the range of standard SRF sensors. And it comes with better encryption, two-way communication, and auto signal adjustments. So you get basically a more powerful device that can go further and can self-heal itself. So it knows how close it is to the panel. It saves battery life. It's a lot smarter of a solution.
And then you're still getting benefits that you're getting the IQ panel. You're getting disarm photos. So now you're able to see that your employees are arriving. They're arriving on time.
Jeremy loves this one because I have a problem being late. And so on our panel, I don't know if you can see, it's on the wall back there. But when I come in, he can see my picture. He's going to pull him up because I always make a funny face. And you can see what time I come in. What was my face this morning? I just smiled. Okay.
8:02 a.m.
Oh, 2 minutes late. It's a lot better than my 20 minutes late, though. The disarm photos are really powerful just to see what's happening as a business owner. And then with that, you've also got live view. So you have cameras in your system.
Hold on. I also noticed you brought a friend.
Oh, that's true. So me and Jesse, he does all of our web stuff. We come at the same time. So we both came, to be fair, at 8:02. It wasn't like.
I feel like you were just nonchalant about that. They're married, so they ride in together. She's just like, oh yeah, we just show up at the same time.
Well, not everyone gets to work with their spouse. So I was trying to keep it generic. I'm like turning red now for no reason.
That's awesome. But
Anyway,
disarm photos are great.
Photo frame.
Yes. So turn your IQ panel into a billboard.
Yeah, so you can say we're running a 20% discount for the store, or we're having a company barbecue. We used to always have barbecues.
Yes, it was so fun.
Yeah, so you could do anything with that billboard. It doesn't just have to be, the generic photos. It could be anything. Right. Diagnostics are probably one of the most powerful things for installers because you can see the invisible. So typically you install a system, sensor keeps dropping off. You don't know why. You're kind of like, well, it'll be fine. And then you leave, and then you have to go back 15 times, and you're like, I don't know what is wrong. And you keep replacing the system. You spend time rolling the truck and money paying someone to go out and things like that. Well, with our diagnostics, you can actually see the noise floor. And when you can view that, you know what's happening and how to fix issues. And in addition, and that's built in.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you've got Z-Wave diagnostics. In Z-Wave diagnostics, you can actually see the Z-Wave network. And if you have a device that keeps falling off, you can view the path that it's taking back to the panel and change it right there on the screen. So really powerful. Yeah. Screen lock.
Yes. Screen lock. Sure. So part of it enabling commercial is actually enabling screen lock. So you'll type in your code, either 4 or now 6 digits, to unlock the panel, take you back to that home screen, and then you can control it. So this is perfect if you do have the panel out in a retail area and there's lots of people walking past it. Yeah.
So if someone tries to touch and see what that is, it's still protecting your system. Yeah. So we have a lot of things that all came through software updates on the IQ Panel 2 Plus to upgrade it to large commercial. So some of the features that we offer, but we would specifically want to talk about the partnership with Alarm.com and how you can leverage access control in a commercial environment, what it is, and how it works. So we're excited. Angela or James, I'm not sure who's presenting this part. I think it's James, right?
Okay. Before we get started, so
this one is
currently installing access control.
We want to know if you're using Alarm.com access control or not. That way we know how in depth to talk about it, what kinds of questions to ask, and things like that. It looks like a lot of people are using access control, but not Alarm.com. Cool. So this will be really beneficial for you.
Yeah.
But there's still a great percentage using Alarm.com.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully we can answer some of their questions.
Definitely.
Perfect. Okay, so we have, James, we'll hand it off to you.
I'm gonna let Angela kick us off, and then I'll jump in shortly.
Great. All right. Thanks, James. Thanks, Kelsey and Whitney and Jeremy. Very excited. Thank you for having us here today. It's a great partnership between Alarm.com and Qolsys, so we really do appreciate you having us here. We're very gracious to be partners with you.
Yes, we're excited.
So to get started, kind of just an area I always like to start out with is, what does Alarm.com actually do? And I really like this visual because it shows you that we integrate intrusion, video, access control, and energy all into one unified platform that builds off of itself. So what that means is that, let's say you're a business owner, you're opening up your store for the day, you can scan your badge at the reader, which then disarms your Qolsys panel, records a video clip, and because your panel is now disarmed, the thermostat drops down a few degrees. So that business owner can really just focus on running their business, and in one motion, they've essentially just opened up their entire store.
That's cool.
And so Alarm.com, we are the software that ties a lot of these devices together so that for the customer standpoint, they have the benefit of a unified solution. And from a dealer standpoint, you have the benefit of being able to bundle all of these together for a much higher recurring monthly revenue. Sorry, was there something you wanted to say, Kelsey or Whitney? I think I may have cut you off there.
Oh, no.
You're good. This is fun to learn. It's cool to see how just swiping your card can do so many things with the IQ panel and through Alarm.com.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you could use those same rules. That's cool.
Yes, yep. So on this slide, I like to show the benefits to you as a security provider for your customers. Kind of what's in it. What is the benefit for you? And as I mentioned, you can bundle these together so that you can have a higher recurring monthly revenue. And rather than just going after intrusion, you can now add on access control and video and even thermostat to make it move from $30 a month to $100 a month, for example. Also, it can really reduce your installation time because rather than having a standalone security system, standalone access control, standalone video, they are now all tied together into one app, which for your installers makes it much easier to use what we have called the Mobile Tech app, which is essentially a tool that your installers can use to install an entire business or home. But also for the customer, you're teaching them one interface versus 3 separate user interfaces, which, to be honest, your standard business owner is not poring over a 250-page user manual for video or access control in addition to running their business. What they're doing is picking up the phone and calling you and asking you each time how to do something. I need video clip. How do I add a user for access control? It takes up time on their end as well as on your end. And then the last bullet point here I wanted to show is that it really decreases attrition with customers. When you have all of these devices natively working together, the likelihood of that customer actually going elsewhere is very slim because they are all bundled, and again, they build off of each other. They make their lives much simpler to manage. From a customer standpoint, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. We have a few questions on this to get started. So Patrick was wondering, when will I be able to create a rule when alarm is armed to stay away to force lock all the doors? Oh. So is there a way to...
I didn't quite. Yeah, go ahead. Can you repeat that again?
Can you create a rule that says, when I arm the system, lock all doors?
When I arm the system, lock all doors. Is there a rule for that?
There is. Yep, you can do that. You can set that up automated where you double tap your badge to arm the system and that locks all the doors. You can also do something called Steam, which is a button right on the app. For example, you would press a close button and then it locks the doors, turns off all the lights, arms the security panel, all just by pushing one button.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things at my house.
Yeah.
Is just being able to go into the app. It's so easy to just make sure everything's secure at the end of the day. So that's awesome.
A good question.
Yes. Aaron has a great question. How many doors is the system able to control?
68 doors is the max that you can control at this time. And the reason we know that number is because we actually use our own access control at our headquarters in Virginia. So I call it the hair club for men joke. You know, not only am I the president, I'm also a client. Like, we actually use our own access control at our headquarters, and we have 68 doors.
Cool.
And how many users can you do with that?
Well, I think we've tested 3,200 users up to this point of just access control. But if you have the access control integrated with the intrusion panel, the IQ2 panel, then it's going to depend on the number of user codes on that panel.
Okay, so
I think we said it was
242 user codes. Just as
242.
could you take? Here's a good
And I would just add that that's also per location. So that's not the total. So if there's multiple locations within a small business, each location would have those 68 doors and X amount of users.
That's fantastic.
That's cool.
So you could potentially have 242 managers that have access to arm and disarm, and then up to, you know, however many thousands of employees that can't arm and disarm the system, but could access the doors.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Got
perfect. JT said he loves scenes. I'm gonna agree with that, JT. They're awesome.
Aaron Thomas had a question. Is there a video verification module or service to send video clips to a central station? And is there a specific video protocol they need to verify our customer service can handle? That's probably more appropriate for our technical webinar that's coming up.
And we're doing a technical webinar in next week?
And then another one
May
after
9th.
that, another one the week
May
after
9th and May 15th. We'll give you the links for those, but so we can get more technical on those ones for sure. And then Patrick also has a follow-up question. When will I be able to create a rule when alarm is armed?
that.
Oh, we already did that one.
Yep.
Sorry, I got backed up.
Is there a range for the card readers? Aaron's wondering that.
I can take that one. So typically you're looking at anywhere between 3 to 6 inches for a card. It all is dependent on the card. Key fobs can sometimes be a little bit shorter distance, whereas there's different plastic cards. Some of them are printable. They have to be a little bit closer, but it's usually general rule around 3 to 6 inches.
Ronald's got a good question. Can you do stay mode for late night, maybe money counting periods, things like that?
Yeah, so I believe you asked if you could use PIN only. So that's something that you absolutely can do. Instead of using a credential, you can use a PIN to unlock and lock doors.
Okay. And then one more question. Steve asked, you can get Qolsys panels and peripherals from local distribution as well as alarm.com cameras. Where can they get alarm.com access products from distribution?
So I'll take that one as well. So today, our controllers are sold direct to our partners. That being said, we are working with HID, and we will have a new controller in distribution probably late Q3, early Q4 of this year.
Oh,
Cool. That's
perfect.
exciting.
Okay,
Girls, when I got this question,
okay. We are having audio issues. I'm going to call in from my phone.
I think some of the audio is because I'm doing questions they can't
Oh,
hear.
Okay.
Well,
We're gonna restate Jeremy's questions.
Yep. Okay, and yes, Michael, you can unlock doors from the app. Can you do it for alarm? For access control?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, you can buzz doors open. You can lock and unlock doors right from their phone, from any app, as well as from the website. And so on this slide about the benefits for the customer, that's a great segue into that question, right into this slide, is that yes, you can buzz people in from anywhere in the world. It is all cloud-based. Likewise, you can add and revoke access codes from anywhere, right from your phone or from your website. So this can, those codes can be managed from anywhere. You could be in Australia and you could revoke somebody's access, and within minutes, their access would be no longer existing. And then the integration, as I had mentioned, is a great benefit for the customer. Again, that motion to scan your badge, disarm the security panel, record a video clip, thermostat adjust. That's a seamless integration for the customer where they don't really have to think about any of that. They can just go about their day. So those are some of the biggest benefits. And that's the most common feedback that we've heard from our security partners that are installing our access control is just how simple the user interface is and how much customers are really loving it, as well as the reduction of calls from customers calling in and needing help using the access control.
Perfect. Cool. Does it support biometric readers? We had a question about that. So thumbprints and things like that.
Yeah, so we support all the industry standard protocols. So there are biometric readers that use Wiegand input that we can support. We are probably going to longer term have some more deep integration capabilities, but today it would be with a roll at the device, not through a alarm.
Perfect. George wants to know, are the controllers Mercury controllers? I don't know what that means.
They are, in fact, Mercury controllers.
That, like, why is that important? Is it, I guess?
Yeah. So if you look at the landscape of access control, it's a little bit different than the way intrusion has worked. Access control panels have typically been very proprietary to their software provider, so they had to be locked together. Whereas Mercury is an open architecture access control platform. It's an industry leader, very proven hardware platform, and that's what Alarm.com is integrated with.
Cool,
Okay.
cool. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, well, let's keep going so we don't run short on time right now.
Lots of questions, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, great question.
James, you are up.
All right, so I'm going to take us through the access control portion. If we go ahead and advance the slide. So when we look at the benefits, Angela mentioned a few. If you look at traditional access control, historically, it's always been an on-premise computer. We know our customers and our end users. They're typically not heavy IT users in a lot of small and medium businesses. These computers are typically neglected, left behind. They are vulnerable to viruses and things of that nature. So it's nice to have a cloud platform. Also, when you look at access control, just the ability to upgrade. So those software components need to be upgraded. When you're on a cloud platform, you're able to consume the new features, the security updates, all of those things without having to physically go to the site. So not having to maintain a local computer, software, database, etc. The other component, obviously, naturally, we're here with Qolsys, so we're very proud of the relationship with Qolsys. From an ecosystem standpoint, if you think about what Alarm.com has done to make a smart home, it's effectively the same strategy with smart businesses. Being able to give business owners more insight to their business. At the end of the day, they need to arm their systems. They need to have access in and out. They need to be able to retrieve video based on those events and control the energy management as well. So I talked just a bit about the video. At the end of the day, all of these events can be tagged. All of these transactions can be reviewed through video, so you can have some forensic evidence of what did or did not happen, as you would expect. So those are just some of the key benefits. Probably one of the things that I'm most proud of is the simplicity. Historically, access control has been a very complex thing from an integrator, dealer standpoint. Some dealers stay away from it. It can be a little bit complicated. Just even if you go back to some of my previous comments about the computer side of it, being able to get the computer on the network, being able to get the controller to talk to that computer, to make sure that it's updated, that nothing's interfering with the software so it can communicate to the controller. So all of those things add complexity. And also it's always sitting at the customer site. So if they have a question or a problem, you have to physically go to the location to log into that software to see what's going on. So we've done a lot of things to simplify that with both the mobile app and also the dealer tools that are available that you can look into their system from a web browser.
Perfect.
So
we have a couple questions real fast before we keep going. Yeah. James asked, will a user without our arm or disarm capability be denied access when the system is armed?
Yeah, so we have a pretty simple concept of users. If you didn't have an Alarm.com solution, those two users are autonomous, meaning James Reno's in one system and James Reno's in a completely different system, and those two worlds don't typically merge. The Alarm.com concept of a user is you're a person, and so your access control and your arm and disarm permissions are granted within your user profile. So you can decouple those, meaning you have access to one and not the other, or you have access to both.
Perfect. And then Angelo asked, is Alarm.com access control available in Canada yet?
It is. It is, yes.
Perfect. Aaron Thomas asked, any Active Directory integration?
So today, no, we don't have any Active Directory integration. I will say that that is on our roadmap, and it's something that's been discussed a number of times. So.
Perfect. And then Eric's question, I'm being told by Jeremy that it's an awesome question. I haven't read it yet.
It is. It's a good one.
What is the additional benefit of the Alarm.com access control for a small business over commercial Z-Wave locks? That is a good question.
Yeah, so that's a good question. That's a really good question. So not all doors are appropriate for Z-Wave locks, excuse me. So if you look at a lot of glass storefront doors, they need a more there's a lot of different lock permutations out there that address different door needs. It's also a connectivity issue at times. So if you have a large light industrial where they have a small office in the front and then they have a large warehouse out back with a man door for the delivery drivers, you might not have the ability to communicate through Z-Wave that distance without adding a lot of cost or infrastructure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I think we're caught up now.
All right, great. So probably the last point here on the benefits is we do use all industry standard protocols, so we can generally take over if there's an existing system. We can communicate with those readers over WeGan, the industry standard cards, and even in a scenario where a customer may already have Mercury with a competitive product, we can talk to those downstream controllers. So you can save some costs there if you're doing a takeover.
Perfect.
Hey, we've got a great
So,
James has a question again.
So take the cameras, if you have Alarm.com cameras integrated in the system, can you make it so that when someone, a certain user disarms the system, or sorry, accesses the door, that a camera would record a clip?
So if you've got Alarm.com cameras and someone swipes their card, will it then automatically turn on the cameras to catch a clip? That's the question, right?
yeah, so you can send clips based on any transaction. Correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, but that's the basic understanding, right?
Yep, that is correct. So yes, you can say, for example, anytime the front door or back door is opened or somebody scans their badge there, I want to record a clip of who that is. And then I'm going to be showing you a live demo here after a few slides. So you'll actually be able to see that in action of what that looks like to retrieve that video clip. But it's tied to access control. It's also tied to any contact. So you could say anytime the safe is opened, I want the camera to record a clip. So it's not just access control. That's one of the more popular ones, but it can be tied to any sensor.
Now, Nathaniel asked, can it also be tied into like safety events created by commercial fire alarms?
Yeah, so within the access control architecture, we can take any dry input. So if you had, a fire alarm trip, for example, you could have that activate an input on the access control system. We also have on the power supply, a lot of times from the fire marshal's perspective, they want to see power removed so that the door's unlocked in the event of a fire alarm. So all of our power supply modules also include that function.
Perfect. Okay, we can keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Angela,
So many questions.
Yeah, all great questions. I love it. So just a very brief overview of how it works. So within an access control system, there are some pretty typical and traditional peripherals that are always connected. So you'll have your card reader, you'll have locking hardware, you'll have your exit request devices, and then you could have other peripherals. Sometimes those are things that, for example, if there's a vehicle gate, it can actually sense that there's something that there's actually a vehicle there. So when you present your card, if you're not a car, it will open the gate. So those are all just kind of standard access control functions that we support natively. We're also working, if for those, sounds like we had a pretty mature group of folks who understand access control. HID has a technology called OSDP, which is a more secure protocol for communication to the card readers. We also have support for that as well. So last little point to highlight here. So all of these controllers are intelligent. And so what that really means is they can work offline. So if there is a network interruption, a network outage, anything of that nature, the controllers have the wherewithal to know who can go in, and then they're going to record all those transactions locally. So when the network's restored, it'll unbuffer those transactions to our cloud so you can run reports. So business as usual.
That would be a problem.
So as Angela mentioned before, we've exposed all the features and functionality of the access control within our app. It creates an amazing user experience. I mean, from a demo perspective, it's just awesome to be able to demonstrate the intrusion alarms, the video, the access control all in one app, and it's extremely intuitive.
Hey, James, I'd like to add to that. You had mentioned the demo. For those of you that are Alarm.com dealers, you can create a virtual demo that includes access control to show to customers. So one of the best ways to sell is to show. And so make sure if you don't have one that you do create a, excuse me, a virtual demo account, and you can then show the customer the power and the ease of use.
Yeah, I love that.
How do they create the demo? Is it something, do they download an app, talk to you guys? How's that created?
It's created via the Alarm.com partner portal, and there's a section in there where you can create a virtual customer.
Cool, that's awesome.
Great. All right. So again, just kind of highlighting the architecture and what's possible. So all of the standard card frequencies, card reader technologies, from the connection standpoint, Wiegand, OSDP, I think it's probably, that's maybe a dated slide, so my apologies there. And then the different card formats. If you know access control, there's tons of card formats. One of the benefits of integrating with Mercury is they have a ton of flexibility. So we're afforded all of the feature and functionality that Mercury provided us on the card format side. One last thing just to note, and I think if you advance the next slide, it'll probably take me there. Almost. So, Angela, I think this is where you are going to talk about the rules, but I'll just briefly just talk about the architecture before I move on. So we have two, if you're familiar with Mercury, great. If not, just to kind of give you a little bit of insight, they have two distinct architectures. One is a PoE, so power over Ethernet. Oh, there it is. My apologies.
Here goes our Sam. Hi, guys. Sorry. They're going to take a break.
That's the top two controllers. So there are different scenarios where PoE makes a ton of sense. And then there's some people that are just more comfortable with a traditional architecture where you home earn everything back to a server room or an IT or telecom closet. And that's your two-door controller and your expansion boards. So.
Now we had a question. Is there a monthly cost per reader because it's cloud-based?
There is, and I believe that is on the next slide. Well, I've got one more slide. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, coming soon.
Yeah, so, well, this is just we do kit it to simplify things. For the question earlier about when we go into distribution, we will continue that kitting just to make it easy so you can pick up something off the shelf that has an enclosure, a power supply, the appropriate controllers inside of it. And eventually, we're even going to include some technology in there as well.
Now, if someone's using a different product and they want to switch to Alarm.com access control, is that an easy thing to do?
It depends. At the end of the day, if they already have Mercury controllers, then that is a lot easier. If not, there's still a certain amount of ease and complexity that's alleviated because the lock's already in place, the reader's already in place, the cards are already distributed. So there's a lot of touch points within access control. If it's Mercury, then it's pretty simple with changing software, maybe a master controller. If it's not Mercury, you still get the benefit of all those peripheral devices, and the cards are already distributed, and then we're just going to replace controllers.
Perfect.
So if we go to the next slide, there was a question earlier about the pricing. So we do price per door. So it's a $3 per month, and then we have a couple of scenarios that we kind of spell out if you have the commercial plan or with or without the commercial plan. So $4 a month if it's standalone, and then there's another example there for a two-door standalone system.
So if they've got the IQ Panel 2 Plus, they're doing $3 a month per door.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Cool. I don't think,
I don't have any questions on that.
I think we're caught up mostly. Okay, let's keep going.
We got caught up?
Are you going to do the
Good.
demo?
I think so. We're going to hand it over to Angela. She doesn't trust me with demos. So.
I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see what this is really made of, right?
Right. Well done, James. Thank you. So I'm going to show you a live demo of the user interface in just a moment. But before I do, I just wanted to show you some of the rules and capabilities that are possible before we go into the demo. So some of these, with Alarm.com, we launched our access control about a year and a half ago now. And when it started, it was still kind of basic. And so I think for people who were just learning about it a year and a half ago, a lot of these features that I'm showing on the screen were not available. So for those of you who were maybe an early adapter, I just wanted to show you some of the more recent updates of what is now available with Alarm.com access control, and of course the integration with Qolsys. So we have first person in, which is something I like to call snow day living in Minnesota. That's essentially where you can have a schedule set up, but you have to initiate it with a card, swiping your badge. So that way your store doesn't just open up automatically at 8 o'clock when nobody is there, but rather somebody has to scan their badge to initiate that schedule. And you can also determine whether that person is a manager or an employee. Perhaps an employee scanning their badge won't do it, but with a manager it will. We do have holiday support so that the doors are not just going to follow that schedule on the 4th of July, for example. Bulk card upload is available. James had mentioned that if there's an existing access control system in place, you can use those existing cards and upload those to work with Alarm.com. Expiring access, temporary access, perhaps it's a construction company and you want to give them a PIN that will only work until their project is completed 3 weeks from now. You can set it up where it just automatically expires at a set date and time. First card unlock, similar to first person in. However, first card unlock just initiates or just unlocks that door kind of indefinitely until there's another rule in place to actually lock that door. So the difference is it doesn't initiate a schedule, but rather it just unlocks the door indefinitely until you have another rule in place to lock it.
Perfect.
We talked a bit about double swiping to lock and unlock, as well as to arm and disarm the IQ2. And then login permissions, which essentially just means that you can set up different permission levels for who can do what with their card access. So I'm sure that may have kind of stirred up some questions. So if there's any, I'm happy to get to those. And,
yeah, and I'll just call out for those that have used a lot of different access control, and particularly if you're using access control video intrusion, maybe some type of automation. I would venture to guess that one of them, the largest volume of calls or foot traffic is that they forgot their login, especially in access control, because it just runs. It'll run for years and nobody will even remember until they have to delete somebody, and then you'll get a service call. So the stickiness is also just having one system to manage all of those different things within your business.
Well, with the reports, who was it that asked this? Dave. Can they be downloaded into Excel? Will you get to that, I imagine?
I'm sorry, which report is that?
Different
So the
reports.
report format.
Yes, you can. So I'll show that to you in a moment. Can you see my screen? I just want to make sure it should have a dashboard. Just switching it over, I want to make sure.
We're seeing connect to go to webinar.
We can see your web browser.
At the bottom.
All right.
We can see ourselves seeing ourselves.
How about now? Does that look better? Okay. All right. So what I just logged into, this is the Alarm.com user interface with what's called the enterprise dashboard. And what you're seeing is if somebody has multiple locations for a business, you could see all of those locations with just one login on one page. So here we have Chicago would be one store, Lincoln would be another, Minneapolis, and so on. And you can set up the access control to work with enterprise as well, meaning, oh, I guess my screen's back, meaning that You can assign somebody's badge to work in 5 or 50 or 500 locations. It's available for multi-site as well as single locations. Right from this page as well, you can see if the system is opening or closing on time, so a quick rundown of what's happening. And if you have multiple partitions, like on the IQ panel, maybe you have 4 partitions, right from this page, you can arm and disarm those partitions all separately.
I like that. That's really cool.
Also for access control, this is for the access points. With the doors, you can buzz doors open, you can unlock doors, all from the website, and the app is going to appear similar to this. So you can see from the user experience, it's a no-brainer. Oh, yes, question.
Oh yeah, sorry. What does buzz open? What's the difference between buzz open and just unlock?
Yeah, buzz open is temporary. So you can determine, for example, that you want to buzz the door open just for 3 seconds or 6 seconds. So you'll see that I'm buzzing it here, and then shortly after, it's going to go back to being locked. So that's maybe just temporary access versus unlocking is kind of indefinite or until you have another set point in place to lock it at a set time.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so user code, James had mentioned before, user access. This is one of the biggest pain points. This is really what people are most interested in when it comes to access control. And so I'm going to select the user access tab here. And first thing I'm going to walk you through is just, again, this is what the customer sees, exactly what the customer sees, is create an access plan. And an access plan is essentially who can do what and when. So I'm creating a new plan here, and we're going to make this the manager's plan. We can make the icon pretty, so I can change the different icons. I can change the color. And then I'm going to determine who are these managers. So first thing I'm doing here is selecting the users. And right here you can see there are a lot of users. So this is if you have multiple locations, we can actually filter down just by a single location. Say Minneapolis, my hometown here. So these are just the managers, perhaps for Minneapolis, and I'm going to give Adam, Izzy, and Steve access. These are the managers. If I wanted to give them access to locations, I could then select the other locations as well and check the boxes next to other people's names in Chicago and Lincoln and so on. Next, I'm going to choose which doors, which access points these managers can get to. So I choose the plan, or I choose the door, and so the lock icon is for Z-Wave lock. The door icon is for access control, and this little shield icon is for the security panel. So again, let's just keep it simple. I'm just going to do Minneapolis to keep one location, kind of keep it manageable for you. Now I can, for example, for the managers, say I'm going to give them access to the back door Z-Wave lock, the loading door, the dock door here, the glass storefront, and the manager's office, as well as the security panel. So just by checking these boxes, I have now given them access to Z-Wave lock, to access control doors, and the security panel. Last but not least, I choose when. So when will they actually have access to these access points? So their managers will say that they can show up as early as 6 o'clock in the morning, and maybe they'll leave at 9 o'clock at night. I can copy this to other days of the week. Maybe we feel like being nice, nobody needs to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, so we're going to say that we open at 8 on Fridays. So now we've just selected when these managers can actually access the building. We can also just select all times if we don't want to go through all of that, and you can also undo it. So now when I select save, I create a plan for the managers, and I can always edit this at any point. So maybe one of the managers leaves or they move from one location to another. The point is we try to make this so you don't need an IT degree to understand it, but rather by just simply selecting users, you can edit those users.
It's really simple. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit to the number of access plans that you can create. And just going to also show you adding a user. So we created a plan. Now we're going to select, maybe we have a new employee, a new manager. These are all of the current users. I'm going to add a new user. Let's say Mary Smith is a new employee. Here's where I add Mary's credentials. So if we had a keypad, somebody had asked about a keypad before, we could just type in their PIN. And again, this PIN can be assigned to the intrusion panel for the IQ panel, and it can also be assigned to the Z-Wave lock. So kind of in one motion, this works for access control, Z-Wave lock, and the panel.
Can you do 6-digit codes like you can on the IQ panel with commercial?
You can do 6 digits if it's just access control only, but if it's access with the intrusion panel, no.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
With adding the badge, we can add the badge or the fob here. We could manually type it in, or we could also scan it. We can just choose any reader, so you don't need a certain reader that you hold it up to. So we'll say that we're at the main entrance, and then we just hold the badge right up to that reader, and it adds it in. It associates it with Mary Smith.
With with creating new users, how do you assign partitions if those are set up on the panel?
Yeah, so that would be visible here as well. So we could say, for example, that Mary Smith would just have access to the doors in a certain partition. I didn't create a plan for that. Let me see if I have one here. Okay.
But you did here. That's good to know the answer, that this is where it goes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. For Mary, I'm going to select Manage Access, and now this is where we have the various access plans that we had just created, and we could assign her access to multiple plans. So there's no limit to the number of plans that we could associate her with. So that's really as simple as it is to add users. Let's say that somebody didn't work out. Ben here, for those of you in the Central Territory, Ben's the account executive. Ben didn't work out. Now we could just delete him, and his access is now revoked.
That's
or
easy.
we could edit him and just temporarily revoke his access as well.
Cool. And this can be done again on the app, right?
It can be done, yep, on the app or the website.
Perfect. That's easy.
We have a couple of questions not related to users.
We have a couple questions not related to users.
First one, what's the lag
Okay.
from manually locking the door?
What's the lag time from manually locking a door from the app?
The lag time?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. James, do you know? I don't know if there is an exact answer for that. It might depend a bit on the network.
Yeah, there's a few factors. Usually the network is, it'll only be as fast as the slowest part. Generally speaking, like, going up to a door and being able to do it on the app, we're talking, sub 2 or 3 seconds. Yeah, but you can't really guarantee that. But, that would be the normal expectation I would have, would be sub 2 seconds.
Yeah, I was there at ISC West with you, Angela, and we demoed it there, and it was super fast. Yeah, they had the app on an iPad, and the door was, 5 feet away, and you push the button, and by the time you got to the door, you were walking through it. It was pretty good. Nice. And that was at ISC, where the network is crazy.
So many people.
Eric has a good question. What is the typical suggested markup for access control? Like, what
that's
would
good.
people suggest that they charge for it?
Eric asked, what's the typical markup for access control, like for the subscriber? So what would you guys recommend?
Oh,
there it is.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the reason why I pause is there's different business models, and it's really up to the dealer to define what their business model is. And I'll just give you some hypotheticals. Typically, in access control, they're going to try to make a pretty heavy margin on the installation, right? So the industry standard for a door is $3,000 to $5,000 installed. So 3 doors could be $15,000. But they're also never getting recurring revenue. So the model is a little bit new in the sense of, do you want to try to make some money on the installation, just enough to cover your costs plus, 5, 10 points and to get a higher monthly recurring revenue. So it's kind of a business decision. We can provide some guidance with what we've seen that's worked, and happy to have those conversations.
Okay. Perfect. And then
Jonathan's asking a question I'm not sure of. Will there be a USB card reader for enrollment?
Jonathan asked a question we're not sure of. Will there be a USB card reader for enrollment?
Oh, that's a good question. I can tell you the technical challenge of trying to hook a USB peripheral to a cloud service. If it was an on-premise computer, it's a little bit easier. I think there's probably, we would have rather than go down that route, we may go down a route of using something off of a phone, if that makes sense. But today there is none of that availability, unless, Angela, you have something different.
No, I haven't heard of any of that yet on the roadmap.
Perfect. Okay.
Ryan did ask, is the Axis A1001 compatible with this? I'm not sure what that is, but maybe you guys know.
I believe that, the Axis. Okay, no, so today we only support Mercury, and then a permutation made by HID called Vertex will be coming out later in the year. We haven't gone down the path of adding to that ecosystem as of yet.
That's good to know.
Another question was asked, if they have an existing Mercury board and be reflashed, or do they need to get the new alarm.com board?
If someone has the Mercury board, does it need to be reflashed for access control, or can they use that board?
They can use the downstream controllers. The master controller, I believe, would have to be replaced, right, Angela? Yeah.
Right, yeah, the expansion boards could be used since they don't have our firmware built in, but the door controller itself would need to be replaced.
Cool.
There's a lot of questions about video, so let's come to the video
Yes,
section.
I'm excited to see video, and Jeremy said there's lots of questions. So, turn it back to you.
All right, so I just clicked on video. That's another tab. Again, it's very simple to show the customer how this works because everything's in one location. For video, first of all, we do have enterprise video, which means that you can pull cameras from multiple locations onto one screen. So here we have a restaurant kitchen in Chicago, another one in Lincoln, another one in Minneapolis. You can pull them from multiple locations into one enterprise screen. But really what I wanted to show you with video is how you can tie the video to the intrusion panel, the Qolsys, as well as with alarm.com access control. So I'm just going to go into an individual location to show you what that looks like. We'll choose Minneapolis here. With the alarm.com cameras, they do record 24/7 to what we call an SVR, or stream video recorder. And they also record in clips saved on the cloud that are basically exceptions. Perhaps there's motion detected after hours, or an alarm is triggered, or there is a door contact opened when in a secure area. So there's always kind of a failover, a backup in the event that something happens locally to that recorder.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to show you what we call the SVR timeline. Again, stream video recorder is what that stands for. Let's make the video larger here. And what we have is video tagging. So on the right side of the screen here where it shows markers, it might be a little tough to see in the webinar, but we have access control, and you can select various access control events and filter just by, for example, when there was failed access or a door was forced open. From there, when you filter by that, you'll see that you can click on that, and you can see the front door was opened at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this video is going to be associated exactly with that point in time when that front door was opened at 1:12 in the afternoon.
That's cool.
So there's, again, people are not reading those user manuals for video management software. It can be very challenging. It really doesn't get much more simple than I want to see when the front door was opened. You click on front door opened, and it brings you right to that point in time with video. wanted to show you one other thing on the PowerPoint. And can you still see my screen? Sometimes when I switch between the two. Okay, perfect. From the app, what that looks like. Are you still seeing it, or is it presenter view?
Nope, it is presenter view.
Okay. Bear with me here for a moment. All right, so hang tight, sorry, duplicate. There we go. So this is what the app looks like for video, and same concept as what you saw on the website. There is a history icon here, and you could filter. So for example, if you only want to see when the doors were opened or closed, or when the panel was armed or disarmed, in addition to the Qolsys panel taking the photo, I can select, for example, that I want to see that the front door was opened at 2:36 p.m. There's a little arrow here. When I click on that, it brings me right to that point in time in the video. So again, it's just so incredibly user-friendly that people will actually use it versus not looking at their video at all, and then when an event happens, calling you as their security provider and having you walk them through how to get that video.
We're a big fan of the intuitive user interfaces.
The easier, the better.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, James.
I was just going to say, going back to your original comment, Angela, about the stickiness of the application. When your commercial customers are using video and they become acclimated with it, and it becomes a part of their daily life and their, insight to their business, the probability of attrition is very, very low. So from a retention standpoint, there's a lot of value in adding video to your intrusion transactions or access control.
Right. All right. And I know we are getting down there on time, so I had a little story I was going to tell, but I'm going to move ahead now and want to allow a bit of time for questions as well. And
the other question that we got that doesn't have an answer yet, Anthony wants to know if on the
We do have a question. Which one are you talking about?
Oh, there we go.
Anthony asked, will there be ONVIF camera capability with alarm.com and SDR?
So ONVIF compliant. At this time, it is just integration with alarm.com cameras. There are not any plans in the near future, from what I understand, of being able to integrate outside cameras. And a big reason for that is we have a secure VPN directly from our cameras to our servers. And so security is of utmost importance to us. As we all know, when it comes to video, that's oftentimes what people like to hack. And so as much as we would like to have it be more of an open platform with video, for safety reasons, we really just want to keep very tight control of video. And so that is a long answer for no. ONVIF compliant is not going to be open platform for cameras. They do need to use alarm.com cameras.
Yeah. Perfect. Up on the screen real fast, we have 2 webinars coming up. I'm going to put the links in the chat right now. So if you are interested in learning more on a technical base about access control, look for the links in the chat. More questions. Is there another one you wanted to talk about?
You've been busy over there. Lots of questions.
VizPin, I don't know what VizPin is.
How does it compare to VizPin? VizPin? VIZPIN?
The answer might be we don't know.
Vivint?
It's not Vivint.
It's not Vivint, it's VizPin. Okay, we don't know what that is. VizPin. Sorry, George. We're looking for other card readers that support mobile credentials versus traditional cards and fobs. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, so there really are two solutions that we're looking at pretty heavily. You can use them today, but it wouldn't be a unified experience. One is from Allegiant, one is from HID, where they use the Bluetooth functionality in the phone. The conversations that we're having from a roadmap perspective are to add that to our cloud so you can issue the credentials over the air to the mobile device. As you can imagine, it's not a small undertaking, but it's not too insurmountable for us either. So that's something you should probably anticipate, us continuing to work on.
Perfect. Okay, I think we're pretty much caught up on questions. Are there any other ones? Are there any other questions that we missed?
Nope, not right.
Okay, perfect. If you have more questions, stay on the line. Angela, James, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking time, and everyone on the webinar as well. We know you guys are busy, so thank you so much. We'll stay on the line for a few minutes and answer more questions if you have them, but in the meantime, we'll see you on the next webinars.
Yes, don't forget to register. And again, we'll be recording this and posting it.
Yes, so look for the recording. Thank
Yes,
you.
thanks. Have a good day.